How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and we're back again with our Understanding How to Build series, where we go over each of the leaders in a given set to help you understand how to build them to suit you and your playstyle. Now we've started doing the set 3 leaders because set 3 has officially dropped now, and we've covered Nalase. Now we're on to the next one in the Villainy side of blue, and that is Nute Gunray. So if you are interested in Nute Gunray and want to try and build him as a leader, then look no further, because we got this series to help you understand how to build it, so that way you can not just net deck it, but build it to suit you and how you like to play. Now do note that because of that, we don't give out lists, but we do hopefully give you some helpful advice and information to help you build it yourself and in your own way. So without out the way, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Keeps you updated with my videos as and when they drop, and by clicking the notification bell, you can get alerts when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or at a later time suits you best. And with that now all out the way, let's get into it and understand how to build Nute Gunray. So, starting off with the leader, we've got Nute Gunray here, the Vindictive Viceroy. He is a separatist and an official, and he's got the same deploy and stats as Cad Bane from set 2, because he deploys at 6 resources. So as soon as you hit 6 resources, you can flip him down to come out of the leader area into the ground arena to join the battle. And you've got the same stats as him, being a whopping 8 health, which is pretty bulky, and only 2 power though. And like with this set, the set has a focus on token units. So you've got battle droid tokens and also clone tokens. And his effect is all about creating those clone tokens. Well, there's not clone tokens, but battle droid tokens, because he does so both when he's in the leader area and when he's deployed as well. But he does it a bit better when he's deployed, because when he's in the leader area, his effect is an action where you have to tap him, and or exhaust him, as the terminology is for Star Wars. And if 2 or more friendly units, so of yours, were defeated this phase, you can create a battle droid token. So you have to have 2 of your units defeated. It could be either by them being defeated by your opponent like defeating them, or by defeating them for things like exploit. And then if 2 or more of your units were defeated this phase, you get to create a battle droid token by just tapping him. So it gives you more fuel for your exploit, and makes good use of exploit to kind of exploit things, and then go ahead and create more tokens to exploit. But then effect gets better, because as soon as he deploys, then he just simply has to attack to create a battle droid token. So no needing to exploit your own units or defeat your own units. He just simply has to attack and create a token. So a lot better when he deploys, and he's got quite a big amount of health to come down. But then he hasn't got much attack, and yeah, he's not the... It's going to be a nice one to help make sure you've got like tokens to help exploit and make use of it, but then is he going to be the best leader to help you exploit? Now, he does have access to pretty nice aspects, because he is in the aspects of Villainy and also Vigilance, so he has some pretty good ones in blue and black. A very good combination for that side. And we'll have a look and see what cards he kind of has access to. But that's the case he basically wants to do. He's a separatist leader that creates tokens and helps you have fodder, so you can basically use the new keyword exploit as best as possible. Not only that, but he also has a showcase, which looks pretty cool. Like you can see in this kind of clip from the movie of him just like scheming with his little hands there. And remember, with showcase as well, it's just alternative art of the leaders. So more like, sometimes it's better art than the normal one, but sometimes it's not as great, or yeah, the normal art could be better, but it's all subjective. So if you like it, fair enough. If you don't like it, that's fair enough as well. So that's the showcase. Now we get into the next part, and that is covering the bases, because in this game you have 2 types of bases. You have the rare base, which is a slightly lower health than the normal base, but it comes with an action you can use, either an epic action that you need to take an action to do, or an action that's either permanent or triggers at a certain point. Then you have the vanilla bases, which are default at the moment as of set 3, 30 health bases with no effect. And the only difference between the ones are the different locations and the art. And currently, there's no benefit of having a certain location for your base at the moment in this point in the game, but you just have the art, so you can just pick one that you like, whereas the rare bases have an effect. So, like I said, there are 2 different bases, and as of set 3, as of set 3, we got a few more, basically another set of rare bases. So we got all these rare bases. So we only had rare bases in set 1 and set 3. Set 2 skipped out on those, which was good, because it meant that when you buy a box, you don't get your rare slots taken up by a base, and you only need 1 base. You don't need multiple, but you can potentially pull them. But these are the rare bases. You have the first set's rare bases on the top row here. So all the same health, 25 health, and have an epic action, meaning an action they can take once a game, and it means you have to take an action for it. So you've got the Security Complex being the blue one, that gives a shield to a non-leader unit. Energy Conversion Lab allows you to play a unit at 6 or less and give it ambush, so it basically can attack the turn it's played, but only into your opponent's units, and you still have to pay the cost for it, you don't pay it for free. You also have then Tarkin Town for red, being a action that allows you to deal 3 damage leader unit, not a non-leader unit, so you can finish something off that you just short of taking out. And then Jeddah City being given a non-leader unit -4 power for this phase. So they're all effects that don't really affect the leader, but you can use once a game by using up an action. So pretty nice ones there. And then with set 3, we got some more ones, and with varying health as well. As you can see, the health varies between 24 and 26, but still less than the vanilla health bases, because the kind of balance to it is that you get less health, but you have an action you can use. You get an action, but you're losing health because you've got something that vanilla base doesn't have. And with the set 3 ones, they have effects that either are continuously in effect or trigger at a certain point. So you've got Pal City and Pinaki Arena being the highest of the rare health bases at 26, but have an effect that is continuous because they both give a leader unit, or when you control a leader, they give them a boost. So Pal City gives an extra 1 health, while the Petronaki City Arena gives them extra 1 power. So that's what they do. And then the green one and the red one are both ones that trigger when you deploy your leader. So Droid Manufacturer being the lowest health of the bases so far at 24 health, allows you to create 2 battle droid tokens when you deploy your leader. So more boost for exploit, which is pretty handy for those, or even 2 tokens that way you can have coordinate life, because coordinate is a skill for the good side, where if you control 3 or more units, you can trigger the ability that coordinates attached to. And you got Shadow Collective Lab, which essentially is the same health as the original rare bases, and when you deploy a leader, you get draw a card. So nice little charge roll, not massive for this card game, but still something useful. And those are rare bases you can use. So if you feel any of those effects are quite handy to have, you can select those. But if not, you're probably more likely better going for the vanilla base. And the vanilla bases are just all the same. They're all 30 health bases, have no effects, but they just have a nice location and nice art. So the only difference between this when picking a base, because they have multiple in each color, and you just pick your favorite art. Currently, there's no benefit. Like if you see at the bottom, they've got their location there, and there's currently nothing in the game so far that benefits from having a certain location on your base. So there's no benefit at the moment to that. So you can just pick what one you want, and in each of the aspects, these are kind of my favorite looking bases because they just look pretty cool for what they are. So those are the bases. Now I'll go on next to talk about the next part. And that is the aspects, because in this game there are 6 aspects. There are 4 that you can have on your leaders and bases, and then 2 that are always on. Either one is on your base, and also you get card. And there are also ones that could be normally attached to the other aspects. So the 4 color aspects that you get on your leaders and base are Vigilance being blue, Command being green, Aggression being red, Cunning being yellow, and then you've got the 2 that normally accompany the other 4 aspects and are always found on your leader, either one side or the other side, and that is black, which being Villainy, and white being Heroism. Now each of those have kind of like a specific benefit because there must be a reason for why you have different aspects, and each provide a certain kind of playstyle. So starting off with Vigilance being the blue one, this is one that plays defensively with the ability to heal, damage, remove dangerous units from play, and protect your base from enemy attacks. And this is a perfect aspect for players who like a patient playstyle that can endure almost anything. So if you like playing like very much control and having like heal, removal, and like sentinel, which is a way to protect your base, then this is a good one for you. And then we got Command being the ramp aspect. This is one that can ramp up your resources so you can get more resources quickly to play either bigger things quicker or more things out at a given time. And Command is one that allows you to accelerate your resources and call upon lots of units or strengthen the units you have in play. And this is an aspect that's perfect for players who want to overwhelm their opponent with a massive war presence. Now this is a pretty popular one and also pretty good and pretty popular combined with Vigilance when it comes to the dark side. Next, you have the red one being Aggression, and this is one like the name suggests, is very aggressive in terms of like damage because it allows you to attack with maximum efficiency and deal out loads of damage. And it's an aspect that is great fit for players who like a fast-paced game or theory play styles that allow you to break through your opponent's defenses and just go for victory at any cost. So if you like to just like throw out damage willy-nilly, this is a very good one for you. And if you like the aggressive playstyle, this is a pretty good one for that. Then you have the last of the color aspects being Cunning. So this is like a trick of all, jack of all trades kind of aspect, because it likes to adapt to any situation on the fly with powerful immediate effects and have lots of tools for disrupting your opponent's game plan. And now this is an aspect that's perfect for players who'd like to respond quickly to any problems and have an answer for almost anything your opponent could throw at you. So if you like to have like a multitude of options, then Cunning is a very good one for you. And that brings us to the other two aspects, being heroism and villainy. Now these are ones that either want to battle for power and be the antagonist, which is the dark side, or just fight for peace and justice and feature the protagonist of Star Wars, being the light side. Now these are aspects that are great for players who want to either support them and protect their ever. If you want to play to be more supportive and protect your ever cards while being aggressive and attacking, then heroism is a pretty good one for you. And if you like to command huge armies or powerful destructive effects, then Villainy is the one for you. Now, these are aspects that are often paired with another aspect on a card, being one of the other color ones, but you do have some cards that are just those aspects as well. So those are the 4 aspects. And not only that, you have different aspect combinations, because due to you having a leader and a base, you can have different aspect combinations. Now you have 2 aspects, usually with your leader. So in this case, with Nute Gunray, you have access to black being Villainy and Vigilance being blue. So you have black and blue as your aspects from Nute Gunray. Now, combined with a base, you get another aspect from your base to give you one of 4 different aspect combinations. So depending on what base you have, you can either have double blue if you have a blue base with Nute. You can have blue-green if you have a command base with Nute. You have blue-red if you have a aggression base with Nute. And then you have blue-yellow if you have a cunning base with Nute. Now, these also give you the aspects you can use to play, and these are what provide you the aspects along. So when you play cards, because you can put any card in your deck, you can play any card, but when it comes down to playing them, actually like busy trying to play them, then you can incur the asset penalty if the aspects don't match. And what I've improved and put into this series is the aspect penalty guide. So this is a way to kind of look and see where an additional cost, because what the aspect penalty is if an aspect doesn't match what's on your leader or base, that's on a card you want to play, you have to pay an extra 2 per each aspect that doesn't match in addition to its resource cost. And each card has a cost up in the top left, and that's how much it costs to play the card. And if you have aspects that don't match, you have to add on to that 2 per each. So if we've got a little guide, so this is the aspect combination we've gone for, just the example, being Nute Gunray with a command base. You've got access to black, blue, and green. So if any of the aspects on a card you want to play match what's on your leader base, it could be any one of the individual aspects there, or a dual combined, like say black and blue or black and green, then you just pay the card for what its printed cost is. So it's pretty simple there. But then if you have a card where one of the aspects does not match on what is on your leader and base, you have to pay an extra 2 per. So this could be one of the other aspects that aren't included on them. So basically in this case, red, yellow, and white. Or it can be that one of your aspects doesn't match, but you have the other one that does match. So you have a black and red one. So you have the black, but you have the red. Or let's say you have the white and blue. You have the blue, but you have the white. You have to pay an extra 2 on top of that because one of them doesn't match. And the same goes with double aspects as well, because any aspect only provides one of that given aspect. It doesn't provide multiple, it provides one. So if you wanted to play a card that with this aspect combination, and you wanted to play a card that is double blue, because you have one blue aspect that covers one of them, because you don't have a second one, it won't cover the other one, so you have to pay an extra 2 for that second blue resource. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you have 2 aspects that doesn't match, so basically one of the other 3 aspects that you don't have, you have both of them on a card, you have to pay an extra 4 on top, because remember it's 2 per aspect doesn't match. So that'd be, say, if it's a free cost card, but with this aspect combination, you plan to play a white and red card that's free cost. Usually it would cost 3, because neither of those aspects match. It's got 2 doesn't match. It costs an extra 4, making it a 7 cost when it would normally be free. So do bear in mind, like for this example, you've got like white and red, white and yellow, and double red and double yellow as examples that with this aspect combination would incur an extra 4 resources added on top of the cost card. Now, don't look at this and think you shouldn't play cards that incur the asset penalty, because if you follow the meta or you haven't followed the meta, there have been cards that have been played in decks which will incur the asset penalty, like say, for example, playing one of the double aspect events, being Vigilance, Aggression, Cunning, or Command, being double aspect events that people still do play even if they don't have the double aspect. So like playing this combination, still playing Vigilance because it's such a great card. People will still pay that even if they have to pay an extra 2 on top of the card's cost, because the effect is worth that. So do bear that in mind when it comes to playing and using cards. So that is the aspect penalty. Hopefully that has helped you understand the aspects of this game and for this leader. And next we move on to the next part. And that is the ratios. So in this game, you can play a certain amount of cards, like any other game. You can play a certain amount of any given card. And in this one, it's up to 3 copies of cards. You can either have 3, 2, or 1 copies of any card in your deck. And there are benefits to each different one. Like with any other game, there's benefits to having a full play set, just 2 copies, or just 1 copy of a card, and there's a reason for each one. And I'm going to go over that now. So first we'll start with the 3 copies of card. This is the ratio to help maximize the likelihood that the desired card will be in your hand when needed. So you play a full place out of a copy if this kind of meets that. So examples are cards, basically cards to play on the first turn, or cards you want to see multiple times over the course of a game. So like a good example here I've got is Droid Deployment, especially since this is a leader that's all about making droid tokens used for things like exploit. Making droid tokens on the first turn, so the next turn you can then exploit and play a card a lot cheaper that's a normally higher cost, could be very, very beneficial. So you might want to have 3 copies of Droid Deployment so you can see it as early as turn 1 to play it out, or see it earlier, or multiple copies so you can keep spamming out with tokens. So that's the example of having 3 copies of a card. Now there are 2 copies of card you might want to have, and for this example, this kind of reason, this is usually the ratio for cards that aren't great to draw early in the game, but you still want to go through multiple copies over the course of a game. So you don't want to have them too early, but you do want to see at least those 2 copies across the game. And examples are being like either big boss cards or very high costing cards. So example here, we've got Rival's Fall. So in this game, there are some removal cards that just are events that just instantly defeat a unit. But usually they have a restriction. So it could be that they've, like for a cheaper cost, they've got to have a certain amount of power or cost of the card that defeat it. But then you've got ones like this one from set 2 being Rival's Fall, being a very high costing card that's 6 resources, but defeats any unit in the game, be it leaders or like non-leader units. But to make up for that great effect, it's got to have a high cost at 6. So you might want to have this early in the game because you won't be able to play it until like a lot later in the game when you get 6 resources. But later in the game, you want to see it so you can take out your opponent's leader card, because in the game, there's not many cards that can just instantly take out your opponent's leader, but you might want to include it to kind of make it so when your opponent deploys it, you can take it out straight away. So you've got normally only 2 copies or maybe 1 copy of the card, but you want to see it, but not see it early. And that brings us to the last one, being 1 copy of a card. Now this is a ratio that usually is for cards that are added to a deck for a specific kind of situation in order to counter it. Now, a good example of this is being the card here, Restock, because it's not usually added to decks to help counter those hard control decks that usually want to control the game and basically just like take full control of the game, just control the game the whole way through. And then the only way to win, because the only way to win in Star Wars is to deal enough damage to your opponent's base up to the health on their base, so 30 damage if you've got 30 health base. And usually do that by using the end of can't draw damage, which is whenever you try to draw during the regroup phase at the end of the turn. If you can't draw a card during that turn, or that phase of the game, basically being the end of your turn, you have to take 3 damage for each card you can't draw. So you draw 2 cards a turn. If you can't draw 1 card, you take 3 damage. If you can't draw both cards, you take 6 damage. So hard control decks will usually control the game and make it so they get to the point where you deck out and then you start taking damage from not being able to draw cards, and after 5 turns not being able to draw 2 cards, you're then dead. So people will usually put in restock or side restocks, that way when it comes to that point, they can use restock to put cards back in their deck so they don't take the damage from not being able to draw cards. And due to how the game works, you can put restock itself back as one of those 4 cards. You can basically put itself back to keep doing that to prevent those kind of that kind of damage, to make your opponent have to actually start attacking you with units to do damage, because they can't do it by the end of the game. They can't draw damage. So hopefully that helps you understand when you want to have 3 copies of a card, 2 copies, or one sole copy of a card in your deck. So out of the way, we're going to have a look at the different aspect combinations. And what I usually like to do is start off with a double aspect, because this is the double aspect essentially reduces the card pool of what you can have available. Because by having two different aspects, you have access to all the different cards in those aspects. If you have, say, Nute with green, you have access to all the blue cards and all the green cards. But by going double aspect, you sacrifice having a whole different aspect that's not blue to have access to just blue and all the cards in the double blue aspect. And from when we had set 1, it's very limited pool, because we've only had 3 double aspect cards in each set so far. And that meant for set 1, if you want double aspect, you sacrifice a whole different aspect to have us 1 set of blue cards and 3 double aspect cards. So heavily limiting your card pool. But now, since we're on the 3rd set, we've got a lot more cards in just blue to make it so it's not so bad, and also 9 double aspect cards in blue to kind of make more worthwhile. So like in set 1, there were 1 leader at each aspect. That was okay or decent running double aspect, but now any leader can run it because you've got a lot more options that are viable. So if you're going for double aspect, you're essentially sacrificing a whole aspect for these 9 cards. And that is Bendu for set 1, being a 6-cost Sentinel that can reduce the cost of the next card you play as long as it's not heroic or heroism or villainy by 2 when it attacks. You have Protector, being a 1-cost upgrade. It gives a 1/1 to a stat, but also gives the card Sentinel. You have Vigilance, being a card that every aspect has, being a 4-cost event, double aspect, and named after the aspect itself. And allows you to choose off any 4 of the 4 effects on the card, and use any 2 in any order. But you can use each one once. You can't double up on one effect. You can only use 1 each. So you pick 2 of the effects on there and resolve them. And then you got Sugi here, being a 4-cost card that can be smuggled out. It's a 4/6 and gain Sentinel if your opponent has anything upgraded. You got Second Chance, being a very high costing upgrade, but if you put this on a unit and a non-leader unit, you can't put it on a leader unit, then when that unit would be defeated, you can revive it back from your discard pile for free during that phase. You also got Midnight Repairs, being a very nice healing card, being a 2-cost event that allows you to heal up to 8 damage from units you control, any units on the board. Mainly you're going to do it for your units, so 8 damage healing is pretty good, especially for 2 cost. And then we got the new ones for set 3. So we've got Finn, being a 3-cost 3/4, that when it completes an attack, it allows you to choose a unique unit you control, and for this phase, it takes 1 less damage if it would be dealt damage. So like the Boba's armor, but not great. You got Duchess Champion, which is a 4-cost 1/8, so pretty beefy but very low power. And if your opponent controls 3 or more units, then it gains Sentinel, which is very situational because your opponent can always stick to having 2 or less. So it doesn't gain Sentinel, and it's not very threatening, and you don't have to worry about it. And we got Equalize, being a 3-cost event that allows you to give a unit -2/2 to the stats. And if you control less units after that effect, then your opponent, you get to give another unit that's different to that one you just chose, and -2/2 as well. So more like a weaker version of Make an Opening. That is a lot more situational to get the full effect. So there's some pretty good cards in here. There's a lot of good ones. The new set doesn't offer many good double aspect cards. It doesn't really, like the new ones don't really do much to kind of garner interest to make you want to play it. But the ones for set 1 and set 2 are good reasons. Like Vigilance on its own is good, and the other ones from set 1 and 2 are pretty good as well. So I haven't tested out Nute Gunray, but I would say that it's probably good. But then you have to count on what kind of exploit and separatist kind of cards you've got to give access to Nute. But I'm not sure if double blue would be a good shout for it. Now next, we're going to go into all the cards that kind of Nute Gunray's aspects give you, because Nute Gunray himself gives you the access to the Villainy cards and blue cards, and also both Villainy and Vigilance cards. So it gives you access to both black, and blue. So before we go into the aspect combinations that the base will give you access to have different aspects in it due to the base, we'll go with what the leader provides you. And first off, we'll start with the dark side blue ones, because it's always nice to see what the dark side, because normally the stronger cards are usually in the heroic or dark side version of it, but then you do have some pretty good cards in the not just the normal color aspect ones. And like we said, we've got the bases here. The 2 rare bases we've got for blue, if you want to get double aspect, are Security Complex, giving a shield to any non-leader unit, and Pal City, giving 1 extra power. Now these are some nice cards. You've got some pretty good ones in early ones like Fred and 4 and Dr. Pershing here being very good turn 1 players. You've got good mid-game ones like Morgan Elsbeth and Jen Charlton for like the mid-game, and then for the late game when you got like when you can play the bigger units with more resources, you've got things like Primula Snoke and Avenger. Very big good payoffs. Snoke being a nice one to reduce all your opponent's non-leader units by 2/2, making them a lot weaker than they normally are. And an Avenger being a one that allows you to force your opponent to like defeat one of their non-leader units every time it's played or attacks. That's pretty cool. You also got some pretty nice events in the dark side as well for blue, like Power Dark Side, forcing your opponent to choose one of the units, any one of the units to defeat it. Now this can make him defeat one of their own leader units, because it's not restricted to that, unlike during the wording. It actually just says any unit, not defeat a non-leader unit. So you can make your opponent, you basically force your opponent to kill off one of the units, and like with Avenger and Power Dark Side, their power comes from how many, well, the power essentially varies depending on how many units your opponent has. Because if you have very few units on, they're going to have a lot harder choice to get rid of something they don't want to. If they got a lot of units on play, they can always get rid of the weakest they don't care about and have less of a time worrying about what they're going to get rid of. And then you have one of the most powerful events in the game being Super Laser Blast, being an 8-cost event that allows you to defeat all units on play, being both yours and your opponent's. So very powerful effects there. So some pretty good ones in these aspects. And then onto the normal side of blue, you got some pretty nice ones here. Like, once again, we got the bases. You can just 30 health base, and these are my two of the favorite arts for the blue ones, being Dagobah Swamp and Sundari. Now for Vigilance, you don't have many great blue units outside the like heroic and villainy sides for blue. Like, is mainly the heroic and villainy sides are the ones that you're going to get the most out of for the units. But you do have some nice ones, like you do have Infantry 212, which is a pretty good standard unit that if you control 2 or more units with him, you gain Sentinel. You also have some pretty nice upgrades in blue as well. Like you got Electrostar Peter. You also have other ones like Unshakable Will, and the other one I'm trying to think of being Entrenched. That's the one which give boost to a unit. So like in this case, they both get these two on the screen. They give a 2/2 boost, a 2 power and 2 health, and give various benefits. Like Electrostaff means the unit takes 1 damage when it's attacked, and Unshakable Will gives the unit Sentinel, which is good. It's exactly the same as the Protector, but it doesn't require you to go double blue to not take the aspect penalty, and gives a 2+2 2/2 boost rather than just a 1/1 boost like Protector does. You also got some nice events like Guarding the Way and Covert Strength to kind of boost up units. Like Guarding the Way gives unit Sentinel, and if you have the initiative, it gains also 2/2 to its stats. While Covert Strength is a 1-cost event that you can also smuggle in, so play it from your resources by paying the smuggle cost, and allow you to heal damage from a unit and give it an extra experience token. So it's actually giving it 3 more in terms of health, because you healed 2 and you give it experience, so you're increasing its stats by 1/1 and healing 2 damage, such as your free health difference essentially. And also Vigilance is unique because it's got a lot of instant defeat effects. Now you got Takedown being a 4-cost event that allows you to defeat any unit, even a leader, if it's got 5 or less health, and then Fellow Dragon being able to defeat any non-leader unit that's got 5 or more power. So they kind of vary with the same cost on what you can hit. And you got Rivals 4, like we've seen, that for 6 you defeat any unit in play. So that's the benefits of Vigilance. Now we'll look at the next one. For Command, this is a good aspect to combine with Nute Gunray, because it's one of the more popular ones for the dark side in terms of combination. And that is Vigilance and Command together, because they offer the ramp from Command and also healing and protection from Vigilance. So you can play out your bigger things quickly, and they have in the dark side some pretty nice big things. Like you got things to start off the game, like in the early turns being Poggleless or Super Laser Technician. Super Laser Technician being one of the better cards to for ramp in the game. So there's not many cards that ramp, but Super Laser Technician being one of the best ones, because when it's defeated, just simple, it has to be defeated either by you swinging it into one of your opponent's units or by defeating yourself in some kind of effect. Then you get to resource it, and it's one of the only ones that resource active, ready to use straight away. You also have some pretty powerful cards and things like Darth Vader and Maul being very nice ones, some big costing cards at 7 cost that allow you to ambush the same turn, basically attack the same turn, and provide nice effects, like Vader getting out more cards to just the 7 cost you paid for him, and Maul being able to come down and potentially allow a different unit that's underworld to take damage instead of him, so he stays nice and healthy. You also have Relentless and Devastator being big space units you can have in the dark side, So with Relentless making it so the first event your opponent will play a turn, being having no abilities, and Devastator coming down as a huge 10 cost 10/10 that then does damage equal to one of your opponent's units. Well, to a unit equal to the number of resources you control, which is usually going to be 10, or it could vary if you play it out by an effect or after you've ramped up that much. And also you have some powerful events in Command. You have Overwhelm Barrage being one of the best units best events in the game, being a one that can give any unit boss a plus 2/2 to the stats, and then allowing that unit that you give the buff to do its power as damage as however you choose across units on the board. So very, very powerful, always a staple in any command deck, that's Villainy. And you've got Palpatine's Return, being a way to kind of revive some of your units you've played out and lost or discarded or say had milled, and you pay them for 6 less, so you essentially pay them for 6 less, and that's the cost of the card. But if it's a Force unit, you pay for 8 less, so you can play Vader and Maul or any Force unit at the moment for free. Which is pretty cool. Or at 8 cost less, which is pretty nice. Or any other unit, you pay for 6 less, so if it's under 6, you pay it out for free with no resources, or if it's higher, you can pay an extra few resources up to the cost of the card to play out something bigger from your discard. And like for the base as well, for a command, you've got these 2 rare bases. So you've got Energy Conversion Lab being one of the best rare bases in the game that's been used a lot because it allows you to ambush being one of the best skills in the game. Android Manufactory being a nice one here to allow you get more battle droid tokens, which could be handy. You can with blue, you can mitigate the fact that you've got low health on your base by having a lot of heal, and you've got some in green as well. But then you still have a hard time against aggro with these low healths. And then for command, we got some pretty nice cards in there as well. Like you got early game things like Cunning Cobb Vamp, with Yularen giving you heal and Cobb Vamp keeping you on play. So when he's defeated, you can play out a new one by milling the top 10. Well, look at the top 10, milling at one that's 2 or less from among them, and then play it for free at any point during that turn when you want to. And you got some big units like Gore and Reinforcement Walker as well. Gore being like a kind of another example. It also has exploits. You can make use of the tokens you build from Nute to kind of make it cheaper to come out, and does the same thing as Vader and Maul, being to come down, ambush, but has Sentinel and Overwhelm. So you Sentinel before she points, you go into it. Overwhelm, which is piercing damage, attack straight away, and even though it's a 12 cost, you can reduce that by 3 by 6 essentially if you exploit 3 units, which you can easily do by making the tokens, making them set here 6 cost, so even cheaper than Maul and Vader. And the Reinforcement being a nice big one with big stats that when you play or attack with it, you can look at top card of your deck, either keep it to have more cards, or discard it and heal free from your base. Up to you. And you also got some nice events and upgrades as well. Like your Traitorous being able to steal one of your opponent's 3 cost or less units, equip it to it and seek it. You got Timely Invention, which allows you to ambush by basically paying this and paying a unit. You still got to pay the cost though to ambush it in. So a very nice card like ELC in that event. You got Resupply being another bit of ramp, so you can help ramp up as well. One of the ever better ramp that's normally played in every ramp deck. Well, any deck that plays green normally has this to ramp if it wants to ramp. And then Choose Sides being a nice card that people do side deck, allowing you to choose one of your units and one of your opponent's units, and then switch control of them. So exchange control. So give your opponent one of your your low cost cards, and take one of your big cost cards. And then like I did with the Vigilance as well, you got the Villainy health bases. These are 2 of my preferred arts on the green bases. Just a 30 health base that you can have an option for. So Command is a very good one. You can potentially go for Nute, and probably might be the main one to go, because it's the synergy between Command and Vigilance in Darkside is very, very strong. So that's Command. Now we're on to the next one, and that is Aggression. So Aggression is, like I said, very aggressive with the damage it wants to do, and you got some pretty nice ones in the dark side of it. It's like you've got some pretty nice early turn ones, like Death Star Stormtrooper and kind of TIE Silencer, being very cheap units with very good power, so very high power, not the best health, but very good units to play early. You got some pretty nice ones as well for the mid game, being like Azaj Ventress and Darth Maul, like being pretty good units. Even Azaj Ventress, you can make use of those tokens you do make by exploiting, so triggering it early, creating Clone Troopers, and even make her come out for absolutely free by exploiting 2. Remember, if you exploit a unit, if you exploit, then that reduces the cost of the card you want to play with exploit by 2 for each one you exploit. So by exploiting 2 units, you reduce it by 4, which can make Ventress go up for free. And she's the benefit of you playing Separatist units, because if you attack with a Separatist unit before attacking with her, she swings for a lot more than just 2 power, which is pretty nice. You also got Maul as well, which can help manage board, because when it can attack 2 units at the same time instead of 1, rather than just attacking 1 at a time, which is pretty nice to help you take out 2 things, win 1 swing, which is pretty cool. And he's got pretty good stats on him for it as well. You also got some pretty higher cost units in Squadron Vultures. Technically being a 6 cost vanilla 5/4, but has exploit, so he's kind of vanilla because he's got no effect apart from exploit, so you can play him out a little bit cheaper at high costing. And so with Dooku, you can play him out a little bit cheaper as well because he's got exploit too. And he's got the benefit of whatever you exploit to play him out cheaper. You can do those cards that you exploited's power in damage to units as well, which is pretty nice. You also got Ruthless Vader being a very nice space unit that when played or when defeated does 2 damage to both your opponent's base and to one of your units, so pretty nice there. And you got Force Choke being a pretty nice event. Allows you to do 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit, but that unit's controller draws a card, which isn't too bad because if you're going to take out a unit, having them draw a card, you've essentially just taken out a card they've had on board, so you have to replay a new one. So and they draw a card, but that's not too bad. And if you control a Force unit, you can make it cheaper. Also, like with the bases, you got Target Town Shadow Collective camp, so no difference in the health of the base above 25. But it depends on what you want, because Shadow Collector Camp can help you draw more cards by when you deploy your lead, you draw a card, or Target Town can help you finish off the job. If you can't do enough damage to finish off the card, you can use Target Town to finish it off, because he can do 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. And then in the normal side of aggression, we've got some pretty nice cards here. Like you got the, once again, for 8 health vanilla bases. These are my favorite, my more preferred of the arts. Pretty nice ones in red, actually. And you got C's units, so you've got Reddit's Rocket Droid being pretty nice, because any of the droids, or any of the token units, are troopers. So where you control a Never Trooper, where you have this on board against 2 power, so it becomes a 4 cost 5/5, which is pretty nice, pretty good stats. Continue, you just need a token unit out to boost him. You also got Kit Fisto, which also has the coordinates, so it's a good way to make use of having all those droid tokens. If you have extra droid tokens, you can help Kit Fisto have his coordinate, which is while you control 3 or more units, including itself, so Kit Fisto and 2 other droid units, you can then on attack deal 3 damage to a ground unit, and pretty good stats and Saboteur. You got Heavy Persuader Trank being a nice exploit one, being a 7 cost, but you can exploit it down to be cheaper, so if you exploit 2, you reduce it down by 4. And when he's played, he can deal 2 damage to a ground unit, and has pretty good stats. And you got Crate Dragon being a nice big costing 9 cost 10/10, that whenever your opponent plays a card, you deal damage to their base or ground unit. Your choice when they play any card multiple times a turn while he's on board. You also got Armature Teeth being a nice way to kind of make use of pretty nice card you can just slap on Nute Gunray when he deploys, because it's a 2 cost event that gives 2 power to Nuke, so it goes from a 2/8 to a 4/8, and when he attacks you can give a Never unit extra 2 power for his face, so you can boost the power of some of those token units or other units on board. And you got some nice events as well. You got like Prison Strikes, remember all tokens have Trooper, so you can make use of this to attack with a unit, give it Saboteur so it can ignore Sentinel and shields, and also, well, and defeat shields, not ignore them, but just defeat them. And then if it's a Trooper, which token units are, it gains extra 2 power for that attack. So this is like a almost like a surprise strike for Troopers, but has those extra little benefits. Instead of 1 extra power, it gets some nice things like Saboteur. You also got Open Fire just for free resources, deal 4 damage to a unit. And you got Planetary Invasion, which is pretty cool, because this is one that can make use of all those tokens you can spam out by for 12, which you can exploit for free. So you can exploit 3 small little token units to reduce it down to a 6 cost. And then you can ready up to 3 units, and each of those units gets an extra 1 power and gain Overwhelm for this phase. You basically can attack with everything on your board. Use this, exploit 3 little token units, and then ready 3 things, give them an extra 1 power, and swing again with them, which is pretty nice. So that's Aggression. So if you like, this is going to be a good way to play as well, because Aggression does pair with Vigilance, because you get all the damage from Aggression and then healing from Vigilance, which is going to be a pretty nice combination. Now for the last one, we've got Cunning, and this is one that isn't paired as often with Blue, but can be paired very well with it, and offers some pretty nice things. So you've got Bazine and Cartel Space are pretty nice units, like Bazine allowing you to basically look at your opponent's hand, have that hand knowledge, and discard a card from it, but they do replace it and can smuggle. Cartel Space would be a nice statted unit turn 1, and also if you do play it and you control a Cunning unit, you can rest something that your opponent has that's 4 or less. You've got some pretty nice Everspace units like 7 Fleet Defender as well. 3 cost, it comes down to shield, and 3/2 stats. And you've got some nice exploit cards as well, like Tactical Droid Commander and Sand Hill, which can be exploited out cheaper and gets benefits when you do things like Droid Commander, benefit when you play an Separatist, and then Sandhill on attack. You can untap resources if you've if you've had friendly units defeated this phase, 1 for each. You got nice events as well, like No Good Be Dead, being lockdown leaders. Triple Dark Raid, being able to play out and make use of those like good vehicles you have in the dark side by playing them out cheaper, quicker, and then basically making use of them straight away. And on the doorstep being a nice way to kind of make use of droid tokens, because you can pay for 4, create 3 droid tokens, so create just 3 out of thin air, and then they come in ready so you can tackle them straight away, and then as well as that straight away, exploit them straight away as well. And you got the rare bases here as well. Like the rare bases in yellow aren't that great. Like Petranaki Arena is pretty handy to make Nute a little bit stronger, but by 1 power it doesn't make much difference. And Jeddah City, I haven't really seen played once in a Kylo deck, but outside that I've never really seen it played in any other deck. It's not the best at the moment. And outside of the dark side in Cunning, you got some pretty nice ones. Like you've got Greedo and Crafty Smuggler being nice cheap units. Crafty Smuggler being one that comes out shielded, so it can survive long enough for you to exploit it. And then Greedo just being a very nice cheap unit that you can swing and then exploit later on, and even triggers effect when defeated by exploiting it. B1 Security Team, good Sentinel, you got Dry Special, is a pretty nice exploit one, where when it comes down, you exhaust the ground unit, so play out cheaper, not too bad stats, and then, yeah, get that exhaust. And you got some nice upgrades and events in Cunning. Like you can see that we've got Hotshot Blaster, which is technically a aggression card, but it's more played as a cunning card because its smuggle requires a cunning aspect rather than aggression. And you rather use it by smuggle because when you do use it by smuggle, you can attack with the unit you attach to. So rather than play it in red and then have to pay 1 to attach it and then take another action after attack, if you play yellow, where in Cunning, you can smuggle it out to upgrade, so which is costs 2 more, so it costs 3 instead of 1, but you get attack, so you get to do 2 actions worth of, 2 actions in 1 action, rather than by smuggling it, rather than play it normally. It's also got Jetpack as well, and every upgrade you can smuggle in, but this one is probably better playing hard casting, but you can smuggle it in. Gives an extra 2 power, and also gives the unit a shield for the turn, only temporarily, just for that turn. So it can basically get an attack in, so you can make sure something can be shielded, so it can attack when you want it, or even then trade with a unit, and then you don't lose your unit because yours was shielded. You also do have some good events. You got Swoop Down and make use of all these good space units you have in Cunning, so you can attack with a unit and then cross the barrier, because usually you can only attack from in the same arena, so space to space or ground to ground. But Swoop Down, along with another unit for set 1, break those rules by allowing you to attack across arenas. So you can attack with space in the ground, and if you do that, your unit gets stronger and our unit gets weaker when you exchange damage, which is pretty cool. And you got Political Pressure being nice one you can use for a bit of hand control by paying 1, choosing your opponent, forcing them to either discard a card or let you create 2 droid tokens. So they're either discarding random cards, so it could be any card. It might be one that they want to lose, they might lose, but they discard a card at random, or they give you 2 battle droid tokens, so you can exploit and make more use of that as well, which is pretty cool. So that is Cunning. Cunning's probably not as great as the other ones, but still a good way to use as well, but at least better than I would say with double aspects. Then that brings us to the Villainy cards. These are some of the cards that are just Villainy that I thought could be pretty nice for the Nute Gunray. You got Blacks and Starfire being a pretty nice space unit because it's got a Sentinel, it's a cheap Sentinel for space. Helps you out from that arena. You got Hellfire Tank and Battle Droid Legion as more exploit cards to make use of exploiting and triggering Nute on his leader side and bring out bigger things like Hellfire Tank potentially normally being an 8 cost 7/6, but can be reduced to a 4 cost 7/6, which is pretty nice. And then Battle Droid Legion being one you can either as a 9/6/5, which isn't great, or being a 5 cost 6/5, and then when it's defeated, you can create a 3 Battle Droid tokens. So if you have more Battle Droid tokens to exploit more, which is pretty cool. You also got more ways in like events to create Battle Droid tokens with Droid Deployment, like we've seen before. Just 2 costs, create 2 Battle Droid tokens, good turn 1 play. And then Merciless Contest being a nice one, forcing both players, you and your opponent, to defeat one of your units that's not a leader. So you can just defeat one of your simple Battle Droid tokens, like you have to defeat one of your own, but then force your opponent to defeat one of their potentially bigger units as well. So it's like an extra copy of Power of the Dark Side, but not as great, but still pretty good, because we're forcing your opponent to defeat something that he might not want to defeat. So that is Divinity cards. And for like I said with the Narset one, For this one, like for the last series, I think people were asking about what my preferred aspects would be. So I thought I'd add this in for this new for the set 3 version of the series, so that people have a kind of look to see, kind of a little bit advice, a little bit extra help to see what could be useful, because they might still be deciding like these all sound good. What like I don't know what to pick. My preferred aspects to go with Nute Gunray would be command, due to the ramp and powerful effects you can get from using exploit and stuff. Like you got Poggle listed to help you create battle like more tokens as well, along with Nute Gunray. Overwhelm Barrage as a powerful effect, a very powerful effect, and also Gore is a kind of good way to make use of those tokens by exploiting them. And the other way I would probably play is in aggression, because you've got some very nice units. Like you've got Confederate Tri-Fighter, which you didn't see, which is a good space unit that prevents healing on bases, and a B1 attack platform being a very cheap free cost 5/2 unit, which is pretty cool. And then like Count Dooku is one to help you like utilize exploit, killing off your tokens, or even killing off some of your other units you played out, and then doing damage equal to what you've exploited. So that's how I would play with the aspects for Nute. That brings us to the end of the video. So hopefully that's helped you understand how Nute Gunray works, all the things that you can have alongside him, and help you understand what way you want to build Nute Gunray and how you can go about building it. So thank you for watching. I hope you like, comment, subscribe, and check out the next one where we go over Obi-Wan Kenobi and move into the heroic side of the blue. And stay tuned, as your leader, if you're a certain leader you want to see, will come up soon. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next one. Bye for now.
Like a boss.